the Chi-Town experience on the flight. Let me go tune in to Keek on the mic. He gon' make sure we get our news and highlights. When you get on YouTube, you better hit the like.
The Chicago Bears are absolutely not playing around. Ryan Poles and Ben Johnson made a clear objective this week to upgrade the offensive line after trading for guards Joe Thuney and Jonah Jackson, and now it seems like the Drew Dalman to the Chicago Bears is heating up as we get closer to the open negotiating period on Monday. Hey, what's going on, Bears fans? Thank you so much for joining me for another episode of Keek on the Mic, the podcast all about the Chicago Bears. As always, if you're new to the channel, make sure you hit that subscribe button and the notification to catch all Bears content right here on the podcast. So, Bears fans, as we all know, General Manager Ryan Poles and new Bears head coach Ben Johnson have made a clear objective to go all in on Caleb Williams. We all know he's the franchise quarterback. That means we have to protect our franchise quarterback, and they've been doing a really good job bolstering this Chicago Bears offensive line. First, they traded for Jonah Jackson from the Los Angeles Rams, and then the very next day, they traded for Joe Thuney from the Kansas City Chiefs, and now it seems that the best center hitting free agency in Drew Dalman, him coming to the Chicago Bears, is starting to heat up day by day. First and foremost, Brad Biggs of the Chicago Tribune wrote in an article about the interest the Chicago Bears have in center Drew Dalman by saying the Bears still could be a major player for Atlanta Falcons center Drew Dalman. They would quickly have a lot of money and cap space tied up in the offensive line if they signed Dalman to a deal that could make him close to the highest paid center in the league. Then Courtney Cronin of ESPN, also a Chicago Bears reporter as well, also chimed in on the interest that the Chicago Bears have in center Drew Dalman as well, by saying the Bears are in the market for a new center and can look to add the top free agent available next week. Atlanta's Drew Dalman had a pass block win rate of 95.1% in the 9 games he played for the Falcons last season before missing time with an ankle injury, which ranked 9th among who played at least 500 snaps. So, Bears fans, it is very obvious what the Chicago Bears were trying to do this offseason, and that was to upgrade the trenches, especially on the interior of the offensive line. Bears fans, I will put this lightly. If the Chicago Bears are able to sign Drew Dalman, that would give them so much flexibility going into the 2025 NFL Draft. When you look at the offensive line currently, of course, you have Braxton Jones. You now have Joe Thuney. If you sign Drew Dalman, he'd be your new starting center. Then you have Jonah Jackson. And then, of course, you have Darnell Wright as well playing right tackle. To me, on paper, that is a much more improved unit compared to the offensive lines that we've had in the past. So I want to give Ryan Poles kind of some kudos here. Of course, we still have to see these guys play on the football field, but at least he is showing effort and determination to finally build this offensive line the right way. And we have to give new Bears head coach Ben Johnson a lot of credit too, because he also has such a high football IQ. He understood the assignment that the Chicago Bears, they really wanted to accomplish what they wanted to accomplish on offense. If they wanted to see Caleb Williams take that next step, they needed to upgrade this offensive line. And that's exactly what he came in and helped Ryan Poles do here in Chicago. But signing Drew Dalman would definitely give the Bears more flexibility in the NFL Draft. Once again, you've already upgraded your guard spots with Joe Thuney and Jonah Jackson. You signed Drew Dalman. He would be a nice upgrade at center on that interior offensive line. And then you go into the NFL Draft next month. You can pursue a edge rusher at the number 10 overall pick. You can look to maybe add another offensive lineman in Will Campbell or Kelvin Banks or even Amar Membu out of Missouri. Or there's a lot of people, sometimes including myself, that are begging Ryan Poles and the Chicago Bears to take a look at Aston Genty, running back out of Boise State as well. But all in all, signing Drew Dalman would leave the door wide open for the Chicago Bears at number 10 overall in the 2025 NFL Draft. When we're looking at Drew Dalman, we already said before that the Bears are expected to place a massive offer to try to get him to to Chicago. Right now, it seems like he's going to be commanding somewhere in the $13 to $14 million per year. Obviously, the sweepstakes for Drew Dalman can get competitive, so maybe that number goes up a little bit. Of course, if we get into, maybe a bidding war with another team and it gets to maybe $20 million a year, I would probably let Drew Dalman go and go get like a guy like Evan Brown, a guy that has familiarity with Ben Johnson, a guy that, can play center at a pretty high level and also has the versatility to play guard as well. But obviously, it seems that Ryan Poles, Ben Johnson, the Chicago Bears are ready to put all their focus on Drew Dalman and making him a Chicago Bear. And once again, I'm not going to sit here and say that Drew Dalman is a superstar at center. He definitely has his flaws. Over the past couple of years, he hasn't been a great pass protector, but that's definitely an area where he is getting better year in and year out. But the one thing I can say about Drew Dalman is that he is a very good run blocker, and that's why I think Ben Johnson, Ryan Poles, and the Chicago Bears are so interested in Drew Dalman, because they want to improve their rushing attack. They want to make sure they can run the ball effectively. That's what Ben Johnson did in Detroit. That's why he's trying to mimic here in Chicago. And obviously, if you're able to run the ball better, that also helps your second-year quarterback in Caleb Williams. So, Bears fans, I am totally on board with the Chicago Bears, basically going all in on Drew Dalman. It would just, once again, make the Chicago Bears offensive line better. Then you could still invest in the NFL draft as well to really make a strong offensive line unit here in Chicago. So, Bears fans, how do you feel about all this news heating up that Drew Dalman to the Chicago Bears is about to possibly become a reality when the negotiating period opens up on Monday? Let me know down below in the comment section. I also wanted to bring up one other thing before I let you guys go on today's episode of Keek on the Mic. And this is once again regarding the Trey Hendrickson news. We talked about him just yesterday right here on Keek on the Mic. But according to Jonathan Jones, the likely compensation that the Bengals are looking to receive for DN Trey Hendrickson is a high third-round pick. So, Bears fans, this makes things kind of interesting, because there's a lot of Bears fans saying, yesterday on my video in the comment section saying, you know what, Keek, I like Trey Hendrickson. I understand that he has familiarity with Dennis Allen. I know that the Bears need another edge rusher alongside Montez Sweat. And I understand how good Trey Hendrickson has been over the last couple of seasons, having back-to-back years with 17.5 sacks, making a first-team All-Pro this season for the Cincinnati Bengals. We understand he's a very good edge rusher, but I don't want to give up high draft capital, meaning a second-round pick, and then have to pay this guy almost $30 million per year, because he wants to be one of the highest paid defensive ends in the National Football League. But this kind of changes things, because if we only have to give up our 72nd pick, a third-round pick in this year's 2025 NFL Draft, that becomes quite interesting, because when you look at the history of Ryan Poles drafting in the third round in his NFL drafts, it hasn't been good. You look at Bayless Jones Jr., Karan Amagaji is still up in the air. So obviously Ryan Poles has had his fair share of struggles drafting in the third round of the 2025 NFL Draft, and you're looking at getting an all-pro edge rusher in Trey Hendrickson only for a third-round pick. So I've been hearing kind of rumors here and there that there has been phone calls made. I'm not sure if this means that the Bears are going to land Trey Hendrickson, but this thing can definitely heat up as the new league year approaches next week. So Bears fans, now with the new news saying that the Cincinnati Bengals may only be looking for a third-round pick, does that change your perspective on the Chicago Bears possibly trading for Trey Hendrickson? Yes, the compensation is not as high as we once thought. The Bears would still have to pay Hendrickson to a massive contract extension as well. He is 30 years old, about to turn 31. But when you look at his production over the last couple of years, it has been really, really good. Of course, he has that familiarity with Dennis Allen as well, so he would be a natural fit And obviously, him and Montez Sweat together would definitely elevate this Chicago Bears defensive line. So let me know down below in the comment section how you're feeling about all this Trey Hendrickson news. And let me know if you were in Ryan Poles' shoes, if you would be okay with the Chicago Bears trading for Trey Hendrickson. But other than that, Bears fans, make sure you guys continue to hit that subscribe button and the notification to catch all Bears content right here on the podcast. Make sure you follow me on all my social media platforms. And make sure you share this episode of Keek on the Mic with every single Bears fan that you know. But other than that, back for our all new Bears podcast right here on Keek on the Mic. Thanks, guys, and as always, bear down.
You ain't bout it, you ain't bout it, you ain't Keek on the mic. You ain't bout it, you ain't bout it, you ain't Keek on the mic. You can go and subscribe, cause I be on it